Keep that vibe. Drop a side down.
You alright, ladies and gents, how's it going? It's a beautiful, beautiful autumn day. But I'm not here to give you a weather forecast. I've got a new toy. And I've picked the most stupid place in the world to introduce you to it. It's so busy here, I thought this nice country road would be awesome. But I got myself a 360 degree camera. It's the brand new Insta360 One X. And I think it's quite marvellous. It's a lot smaller than the GoPro Fusion or whatever it's called. It also supposedly takes a lot less stitching time because it does it all itself inside its own little software package. Now this is my first use of this camera in anger. I've not tried it at all. I've not even recorded anything with it at home. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this performs now. I'm going to do a full proper review of the thing once I've got my head around how the whole thing works. But I just thought I'd introduce you to it since I've already introduced my Insta buddies as well as my Facebook buddies to this camera. Follow those channels if you want sneak peeks into what's coming up on this channel. So anyway, where did I go for this one? Well, it's got a nice form factor, and I think that's really important when you're choosing a camera. And they're very much touting the invisible selfie stick feature, which is something I'm really looking forward to playing with. Now, a lot of people have been using their 360 cameras as a 360 camera, and that's not really what I've bought this for. I'm more interested in the invisible selfie stick mode and doing my own editing, so you get to see a third person perspective, or a different perspective than you would be able to from a traditional head camera or bar mounted camera or even a bike mounted camera. I think it's going to be quite exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with this thing. Now then, I appear to be waffling and I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, so I'm going to get this camera rigged up using the selfie stick of joy. It doesn't look very invisible, but apparently once it's all rigged up you can barely see it at all. Quite excited. Now the whole thing is controlled by an app, so I'm really hoping this is all going to be really straightforward. I bet it ain't though. Okay, so you can see that the camera is now working. Yay! And if I rotate it, it doesn't really seem to do very much. It still keeps me in picture. It's all really quite clever stuff. So yes, let's find out how this works out with me on the bike. It's all exciting, you know. Now this isn't actually how I'm going to have it fully set up when I'm playing with this in the future. This is just experimentation, just to see different possible angles that we can get from this different perspective of a camera. I am really quite excited. So what I'm going to be doing with this camera is editing it myself so that you can't see or move around the 360 degrees that it offers. So once I've got my head around this camera, I'm going to be playing with the best angles and dangles for it. Currently it looks like it's going to be best suited to a portrait mode, judging by what my phone's seeing, but it's a 360 camera, so that's kind of irrelevant. It's all down to how I edit it in post-processing, or whatever you call that stuff that I do when I'm not on the bike. Something that Insta360 One X claim is that the image stabilization when you're playing with this in a bumpy environment is gimbal-like. Now, those of you that follow my channel will know. Ah, you tripped. When you do camera reviews, don't forget to turn the camera on. Okay, so now I've actually turned the camera on. Well, what a knobber. Let's try that again. So where was I before I rudely discovered that I'm an idiot? Okay, so yes, when I edit this, I'm going to take away its 360 ability and put it as some kind of magical directed off-bike footage, which will hopefully look marvellous to you. I'm really quite excited, I really am. Now, I love the idea of these 360 cameras being used as 360 cameras, because they allow you to capture all those things that you missed, or allow the audience, should they want to, move their heads around and see what's going on in your little ride and appreciate all your fully beautiful surroundings and all that stuff and shenazzle. But I also find that to be a little bit distracting. So this invisible selfie stick stuff means that I can direct it how I want you to see it, and you get to see the ride from the perspective I want you to see. What do you think of this as a perspective? Do you think it's something that will add to the channel? Do you think it's something that will add to my videos? I really do hope so. Now, because of me being stupid, I don't know how much of the last part of this or the first part of this video you're going to actually see. I might have to edit all out because it might not have any context or continuity, because I'm talking about stuff that you can see in the camera that you can't see in the camera because I'm stupid and haven't switched record on it. So those of you looking at my head cam, I'm not looking at the moment actually, I'm looking at the road, but those of you looking at my head cam will see that my phone is suggesting that I'm not pointing at myself and my camera is pointing half at me, half at the background and stuff like that, which is pretty useless. But that's thinking two-dimensional. That's thinking on one plane of access, or two, and that's not what this is about. We can reframe that however we want. It's bloomin' marvellous, bloomin' magic, I tells you. I think just before I realised I hadn't turned the camera on, I was talking a little bit about stability. And those of you that follow my channel know that I recently got myself a GoPro Hero 7 Black because of its image stabilisation. It was basically what I was sold on there, that it's all gimbal-like. Well, it's not gimbal-like, and although I do think the GoPro Hero 7 Black is better than all the other GoPros that they have made, if you forget about the fact that they've given you that stupid audio microphone, external microphone input thingy that we still have to use, the GoPro Hero 7 Black is a fantastic camera. But I've noticed in some of the videos I've made and some of the videos I've watched that the stabilisation, because of how it's done, is almost too good. It's fighting the movement. So when I go like this, I'm not sure if that'll actually do it or not because that's artificial. But what I've seen is when people go around corners and stuff like that, the Hero 7 jerks. It's trying to smooth it, but it can't comprehend that they're actually turning. It thinks that they're in the same direction. The image stabilisation is all designed, I think, for their perspective to be used when you're running, using it as a selfie camera. And that's not what I do. But I really like you. I really like you. And yes, I'm talking about you, the audience, but I really like you, my GoPro Hero 5 Session. And why do I like that? I like it because it's light, it's small, I can shove it on my crash helmet, and I can power it from my external battery bank on the back of my helmet. So that means I can do magical things. I can last for 20 hours on a charge. I think I can do that on the 7. But with what happens with the stabilisation of it, where it judders as you pan across, that kind of puts me off using that as a head cam. But what it does make it good for is replacing the Hero 5 Session on the bars, because the bars are the things that vibrate the most on a bike. Well, other than the engine and exhaust pipe, I guess, but I'm not strapping a camera to the engine or the exhaust pipe. And also when you're doing track days, shoving it on the nose cowl on the bike, you get a lot of vibration then, as I discovered on some of my previous videos. Now I've got this swanky camera, I'm going to do something that I actually intended on doing a little while ago, but I failed because I was stupid. You're seeing a trend here, right? But yes, I failed at doing a stabilisation test because the mounts that I had were not suitable for what I wanted to do. Now I think I've worked that one out. I think I've got a solution to that. So there is a potentiometer, a thing where I can redo that, or at least succeed in doing that. But now I can actually throw in this Insta360 One X and see what that's like versus the 7 on image stabilisation. Now I'm never going to be sticking this 360 camera on my crash helmet. It doesn't really work like that, and it's not what I bought it for. I bought it for the invisible selfie stick, because the invisible selfie stick is blooming marvellous. But it would be interesting to see how justified their claims are that the image stabilisation on the 7 and the Insta360 One X are as good as they claim. It'd be interesting to see if the GoPro can match the Insta, and it'd be interesting to see, because I've not seen any footage from a real life Insta360X, whether they can back their claims up with any form of facts. I'm quite excited. I hope you are as excited as I am. But you're actually seeing this footage before I am, technically, because you're seeing this now, whereas I've got to wait till I get home and edit it. So although I will have seen it before you see it, you're still seeing it before I've seen it now. I do need to look at different mounting methods, because right now I'm just sitting on the selfie stick, and if it works I don't want to be holding it when I'm riding. I find that's a distraction. It's potentially dangerous, and I think also the police might not like that either, so that's not something that's going to be happening unless I'm in a non-road needing to obey the law type situation. So to all those who followed me on Instagram based on my recent sneaky picture of the Insta360 One X, there will be a better review coming of that camera at some point once I've played with more and more of the features of it. But like I say, all my camera videos are based on what I'm going to be using it as, and that's as a motovlogger, because that's what I'm going to be using it as. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, I saw a video which I believe was actually a gimbal mounted video, where they had the camera in front of the bike looking back, and I'd really like to try that perspective on this, because that just looked fantastic. It was really it was just awesome, and I'm assuming that was done with a gimbal, but I don't know. I mean, to do it with a gimbal would have taken so many complicated mounts to get that mount out of sight, so I don't actually know exactly how it was done. But if it was gimbal done, then they could have possibly mounted it on the forks, because yeah, gimbals. And I'm not going to mount a camera on my fork lowers so they're unsuspended, because I don't want the camera getting shaken to bits. So I would like to experiment with trying that on the suspension side of the bike to see how we get on. Alright. We are about to find a car park, so I'm going to give you just a little different angle if I can as we go around the car park, because yes, it's private. It also gives me the chance to turn the camera off. Because I don't want it stuck out on my bike when I'm going through traffic. Oh, they've gone the wrong way. Let's turn this show around. So this is sort of the view I was thinking of, but imagine this, going around some twisties, it could be pretty awesome. Could be pretty awesome indeed. Right, I'm going to go and get this camera turned off because I've got a big stick. I look like a knight, a dark knight, and stuff. And sticks and motorcycles are bad news. You saw how faffery that was. You just don't need that on the road. That would be dodgy. Dodgy as poop. So anyway, this is my Insta360 One X. I'm quite impressed, you know. I don't know what camera I'm talking to anymore. Yes, whichever camera I'm talking to, you. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye for now.
Keep that bar. Rubber side. Down. You know, you gotta keep that bar. Rubber side.